Welcome back to another episode of Out of Bounds. This is episode 19, and today we're talking about whether or not being an elite athlete or doing any sort of art is a viable career option. Welcome back to another episode of Out of Bounds. I'm your host, Danell Leyva. This is episode 19, like I said. Gotta itch your nose. All right then. Today we're talking about sort of more so the views that we have and the views that other people have when a person chooses to either be an elite athlete or to go into the art industry. And you know what? Let's start off by listing pros and cons of both, right? And then maybe we can try and talk a little bit about the psychology of it and maybe why other people don't really believe that they're not real career options. So let's start with sports, since that's what I did first. Pros and cons of choosing an athletic career. One, your life is always incredibly structured from the day that you start until the day that you retire. Everything is always on a set schedule. There's always a very specific date. You know exactly when your next competition is. You know, if you mess up, you can get right back into the gym and you can start working again. And you have the date. It's always set. Everything is structured and everything is scheduled, and you don't even really have to worry about anything because it's just essentially set in stone. The con of being an athlete is that you only have that for a very minimal amount of time, especially in relation to the rest of your life. And here's the thing. I'm not saying that you can't continue to do the sport after, but you can't really expect yourself to be one of the top athletes in whatever sport after you're like well into your 40s. You know what I mean? Especially if you didn't do it beforehand. It's just not possible as an athletic career. So that's kind of the con, that you have a certain limitation as to the amount of time that you can do that for, to do, the athletic life. And then the pros and cons of choosing an artistic career. The pro, you don't ever have a limitation of when you can try to achieve your goal. Everything is open. You can almost always get better, and you can achieve peak success late into your life. There's a lot of people that have done it. And that, I think, is the beautiful thing about choosing a life in choosing a career in the art industry, in the entertainment industry, is that it doesn't matter when you start. If you work hard enough and you persevere for long enough, you will make it, Now, the con is that you don't have that same schedule. You don't have that same structure. In fact, you don't have any sort of structure. Everything is so fleeting and everything is so fickle. Everything can just switch on a drop of a dime, or whatever that saying is. You can really be expecting to have a job, and this is what happened to me. 2018, I got hired for a job, and I was supposed to actually come here to Miami and do something and make a really decent amount of money. And a week before I was supposed to leave, I got a call and they said, everything's canceled, bye. They're never going to call you, unless it's 2020, but we're not counting 2020 because 2020, we're doing a do-over. All right, doesn't count. But if you're an athlete, you're never going to get a call from the people that are hosting the competition to be like, not doing it, everything's canceled, bye. You might get hurt, but that's also kind of part of the life, right? Expecting injuries. You're not going to expect an injury as an artist, but you are going to expect that fickle side of it, that ever-fleeting, potentially disappearing notion of a job as an artist. You could have it at one point and then not have anything the next. It's just what happened. But again, there's always pros and cons of both. Let's move on. I think the reason why a lot of people have such a hard time viewing art and athletics as a viable career option is because the percentage rate of actual success on either side is incredibly low. And it's almost like they never truly believe when you say, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to dedicate myself to become an elite athlete. I want to go to the Olympics in gymnastics. Do you know how many times people came up to me and just tried to convince me to think about anything else and to think about the what if you don't? I can't tell you the amount of times that happened to me. And I can't tell you it because it's happening to me right now as an artist. There are so many people that look at me, and when I talk about my career as an actor, they look at me and they're like, yeah, but like, what if you don't make it? I'm gonna make it. There's no what if you don't. I'm gonna make it happen. I have a leg up in this industry. As I said, there is no limitation to when it's gonna happen. If I was still an athlete, I would be like, yeah, it's probably time to hang them up or whatever. But as an actor, I don't have to worry about that, Here's the thing, and this is the other beautiful thing about the entertainment industry and why I love it so much. Let's say I don't immediately make my breakthrough as an actor. Let's say for whatever reason, I make my breakthrough as a director. If I'm good enough, and if I become if my reputation becomes prestigious enough, I could just simply add myself to the movie. Cause I'm just be like, yeah, I'm directing this movie. I'm going to put myself in it. There's always a different route to achieve your goal, especially as an artist, as an athlete as well. Trust me, I know. I was an alternate in 2016 and somehow I came back home with the most medals of the U.S. men's gymnastics team. There's always a way. There's always a route that you can find. But I think that's one of the main reasons why a lot of people don't view either of those two options as a viable career option, because first of all, it's probably self-doubt, and it's definitely doubt of whether or not you can make it. And maybe it does have something to do with you, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe it has something more to do with themselves. Maybe they can never see themselves pursuing it for so long or sticking with something for so long. And so they say, yeah, but it's more of a hobby, right? And here's the thing. There's obviously going to be the people that are genuinely concerned about your happiness. And the way that they bring it up to you is because, they want you to not be constantly and continuously suffering and struggling, trying to achieve a goal that is perceived as completely unattainable. But then at the same time, you have to remember the speech that Jim Carrey said about his dad when he talked about as a kid, he mentioned something that as a kid, his dad could have been a wonderful comedian, and instead he decided to pick the stable route and he decided to become an accountant. And when he was 12 years old, his dad was let go of that stable job and they were suffering and unhappy, and they had to do everything they can to survive. And then Jim Carrey says this beautiful thing that he says, you can fail doing something that you don't want to do. So why not fail doing the thing that you most love? I'm paraphrasing. Do the thing that you're most passionate about, and I will be so much happier failing as an actor than succeeding or being a mediocre whatever, anything else, literally anything else. The biggest thing right now that's happening is the fact that, and obviously I understand the point of view, I understand the reasoning behind it, but so many people want me to hang on to the coattails of my past success as a gymnast so that hopefully it can give me something as an actor. But the problem is it hasn't happened in the last 4 years. I've tried really hard. I've done things that I haven't wanted to do to try and open up a door for the thing that I do want to do, and it's never really done anything. Even in certain moments, when I did American Ninja Warrior, when I did the dance show on Univision, Mira Quien Baila, there were moments where I was successful. And I was doing the thing and people were like, whoa, cool. But I wasn't happy because I wasn't doing what I wanted to be doing. The motive was not a fulfilling one. I was there because I felt like I needed to be. I was there because, I was trying to find a route to get to where I wanted to be as an actor. But again, I shot a short film earlier this year and it was a small project. And even the things that I do myself, I shoot them myself, and I'm so happy, even if it's small, because it's the thing that I'm most passionate about. It's the thing that I want to actually do. And I feel like that's what you have to do as well. You have to find the thing that you're most passionate about, and you need to stick with it. And if you're bad at it, congratulations. Welcome to the rest of society. Everybody is bad at something until they continue to work at it, and then they're good at it. You're always going to be bad at the thing. You're always going to be bad at it. It just means that you have to keep working. Anyways, that's, I think, one of the main reasons why a lot of people don't, fully embrace the idea of you saying, I'm an actor now. I'm an athlete now. I'm going to be successful. And I think the other reason is that even when you do become successful on either side, as an athlete or as an actor, it can still be so fleeting. There's a lot of people that don't maintain the longevity of success on either side. You know, you can't, why do you think Kohei Uchimura is considered one of for me at least, he is an absolute legend of gymnastics, and no one will ever recreate the success that he's had. 6 world all-around gold medals and 2 Olympic all-around gold medals. Nobody's ever going to recreate that. I mean, at least on the guy side. Simone Biles, that is a completely different category. She is in a category by herself, above everybody. Obviously, nobody's ever going to recreate that. But the longevity of it is so incredibly difficult. I mean, how many what-hit wonders do we have in the music industry? How many people make that one song and that it's amazing and then never make anything ever again? And if they do, it's never as good. It's tough. It's tough maintaining that level of success. And it's incredibly admirable and incredibly difficult when you do see people that have maintained, even if it's not the highest level of success, even if they've maintained some sort of success, it's incredible. It's wonderful. By the way, I'm borrowing one of my cousin's desks, and I'm loving it. I feel so, official. I'm just like, look at me. And I think the easiest way to actually maintain that longevity on either side, as an athlete or as an actor, is just to persevere. It's just to keep pushing and keep going. You know, it's understanding that there's always going to be another chance. There's always going to be another shot. It's tough. It's really tough because whenever we fail, and in those moments we only see the fact that we failed and we don't see what's going to come next, but there's always going to be another shot. There's always going to be another competition or game or match. There's always going to be another audition or, you know, another shot to go up on that open mic and kill that song or you know, really do great on some of those jokes that you've been working on. There's always going to be another opportunity for you to do that. And I'll give you an example, a personal example. In 2008, I was absolutely sure of the fact that I was going to make the 2008 Olympic team. I was 16 years old and so stupid. I genuinely believed it. I was like, I'm good enough. I'm so good. But I went and I failed, obviously. Didn't make the 2008 Olympic team. Didn't even make it to trials. Duh. But I kept pushing and grinding as hard as I possibly could. And in 2009, in February of 2009, I made the senior national team. I was one of the youngest ever in the history of the U.S. to make the senior national team. It was me and Jason Gatson were the only 2 people that made it into the national team at 17 years old. Can you imagine if I would have just given up? I'm done. That same year, in 2009, at the end of the year, I went to my very first World Championships and I got 4th place on high bar behind Igor Casino, which is another absolute legend of gymnastics. You just got to keep pushing. And after that, of course, I just kept grinding, kept going. And that's the thing that I'm doing now. You know, sometimes I get an audition and I absolutely murder it. I can feel it in my bones and I'm just like, and then sometimes I book that same job, the one that I feel it in my bones, and I'm like, yeah. And then sometimes I don't. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I pass the deadline and I can't even audition. I can't even send it in because life got in the way and I couldn't do the thing. And if I were to just stick with and stay in that funk of like, oh no, I didn't do the thing. When the next one comes around, I'm not going to notice and I might even do the same thing. I might even do it worse. You have to allow yourself to process it, obviously, but you have to just process it and move on. You have to keep pushing. You have to keep going forward. And here's the thing, if you're genuinely passionate about pursuing a career in sports, if you really want to achieve the highest level of success in sport, what you're passionate about is a challenge. And as an artist, you have to challenge yourself every single day. We deal with so many challenges. So it's the same thing. It's just packaged in a different way, and we just have to process it or deal with it in our own different way. And you know, sometimes we might get the same packaged struggle as the other person, but nobody's going to deal with it the same way, and that's fine. It's whatever works for you that's going to take you to the next level. So of course, you need to choose the path that's going to make you the most happy. You need to do the thing that's going to make you feel the most passionate. Whatever it is, going to culinary school, becoming a musician, becoming the highest level athlete that you can be in the world. Stick with it. If that's what you're passionate about, stick with it and just keep fighting. And if you're an artist, then help out your fellow artists. There's nothing more beautiful than collaboration. And by the way, the only difference between a successful, talented, hardworking artist and an unsuccessful, equally talented, equally hardworking artist is opportunity. And if you can be a part of creating that opportunity for an artist, I promise you, it's the best feeling in the world. Right now, we live in this day and age where we can support so many people in anything that we do in life. There's somebody that I follow. I started following her on TikTok because she made hilarious videos. It's wonderful. I'm gonna tag her right here, wherever it is. I'll probably add here this little video of her. She is hilarious. She is incredibly creative. And I just started following her because I thought it was just like, wow, this is awesome. And then I started following her on Instagram. I realized she's like an actual legitimate actor. And she posted something talking about how she had just made a movie, a full-length feature film. It was just a group of friends and they made it themselves and it was indie and she's asking for help. And of course, I needed to help because I'm in the exact same boat. And even if I wasn't in the same boat, I would still do the same thing because we need to help each other, especially now, especially in these moments. And a lot of times helping another person will help you. Maybe not in your career, but just in your life and in who you are. And it might even give you a wonderful, beautiful day. So why not take a chance on helping somebody, right? This is turning so preachy. Jesus, I'm so sorry. But I'm really passionate about helping fellow artists and just helping people in general because I feel like that's what life is about. And again, so preachy. Shut up, bro. Let me go over my notes, make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, here's one thing I could talk about. Sacrifices. Again, I'll give you my own personal experience. When I was a gymnast, all of the sacrifices that I was making, they didn't feel like sacrifices to me. They just felt like necessary steps that I needed to take to achieve the goal because nothing was more important than my goal. Now, of course, I'm way more mature. I have a much better understanding of how life works. So it's not that nothing is more important than my goal because it isn't. As an actor, there's nothing more important to me than achieving my dream, but I can go about it a little bit differently now. And there are things that I obviously do have to sacrifice, but again, they don't feel like sacrifices. They just feel like necessary steps. In retrospect, when you talk to other people about the things that you had to do, they look at you and they go, oh my God, you had to sacrifice so much. And then for me, I'll give you an example. I was homeschooled since second grade. I did gymnastics literally my entire life. That was the only thing that I did. And while I was doing that, I never felt like I was missing out on anything. I never felt like I was missing out on parties or prom or any of those things because, again, I was way more focused on making it to the Olympics than going to prom. And that was just me personally. After a couple years, once I got older, I was like, man, probably would have been really cool to go to a thing. Which, by the way, I went to prom. I had people that went to the gym that I was friends with, obviously, and they invited me to prom, and it was way, way fun. So that was a bad example, but you know what I mean. Just to reiterate, choose a path that's going to make you the most happy. Choose a path that every day when you wake up, you're passionate about it. And if you can't find motivation that day, that's also normal. There's literally an award-winning screenwriter that I follow on Twitter. His name is Dan Hernandez. He's always tweeting about, how he's supposed to be writing and he's listening to music or doing this thing instead, blah, blah, blah. It's normal, all right? It's normal to not immediately want to jump into the thing. But I can assure you he would not be happy doing anything else. And he's an incredible writer. He wrote for Detective Pikachu. He's amazing. So that's why I say find the thing that makes you the most happy. Find the thing that you're passionate about and stick with that. I promise you, success will come if you stick with it. Thank you so much for being a part of this podcast. Thank you for all the subscribers, the Patreons. Next week, I'm just going to dive into mental health a little bit deeper. We're going to talk a little bit more about that, how I dealt with mine, training and now and all that stuff. And I'll see you next week. Thank you so much. I love you. I'm out. Peace.